All right, we're back. So apparently the club is having issues with the internet. So we all got to experience that. Thank you guys for coming back. It's Ted with the Ted Show, and I have Lavarious Slaughter on with me, which is awesome. Thank you for putting up with our $4 budget video. So Lavarious and I met here at the club, right?
Yeah.
And so he is an actor, a director, and now a writer of a book called The Playbill of Love. And honestly, I want to try to get as many of you engaged in that. And give me a second because I'm trying to pull it up and look at your comments. I think relationships are just such a huge topic, especially when women are trying to figure out men.
Right.
But give me a little bit of background. So you're an actor, so tell us what you've done.
Well, I've done my own urban stage plays.
You've written?
I've written, wrote, direct, and produced a lot of plays here in Central Florida. But I didn't start that way. I actually started as a telemarketer. And had this great
telemarketer for what?
For Westgate Resort.
Oh my gosh, God bless you. Nothing against Westgate, but here we go.
Yeah, I started as a telemarketer, but I always had a dream to do something different. And I knew I was a writer, I could write, so I sent my script off to this lady out in St. Louis, and she was like, oh my gosh, you have something amazing, you should do something with this. And so then I staged it at the Bob Carr, my very first show, and sold over 1,500 seats.
What was your first show? Tell me.
It was called You Better Be Glad I'm Saved. It was a show about a kid that was going through so much in his life, and his parents went and sent him to live with his grandparents. You know how grandparents are. They take troubled kids and try to get them back together and put them on the right track. And that's what it was about. It was a really good show. But my very first show at Bob Carr, I sold 1,500 seats out of my own pocket.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what was the motivation for that? Like what? Obviously, you had to come from somewhere to write that. So.
My cousin was murdered in 2006.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to have a drink to talk about that. I wasn't expecting that, and thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
So that was the motivation. Literally, the show really talked about what happened and how my family was able to cope with it and deal with all the depression and the pressure that we faced behind the murder. And so I literally staged it from the beginning all the way to the end.
Wow.
Yeah,
so that's very emotional. How was it cathartic to write that?
It was an out-of-body experience, I think. Seriously, it really was. But it was healing for us as well, because I actually was able to sit back in the audience to look at this and be like, wow, I can't believe I actually experienced it all over again.
Sure, you had to relive it, so that's an interesting point. So you had to relive it every time they performed the play.
Right, but the good part about it, I actually was able to add comedy too. So you have the very serious moments, but then you have the moments where you just bust out laughing and crying all at the same time.
Were you always a writer? And I'm looking at, and I'm not looking away from you, but I'm
that's okay. No,
I get to people's questions.
That was when I first started writing. I knew I could write and had all these ideas, but I didn't know how to put it together. I didn't know how to make sense of it. So this lady in St. Louis, Missouri had to literally help me make everything make sense. And so from that moment in 2006, I was able to keep going. And I've done Bob Carr so many times. I've done major theater.
So a lot of people don't know Bob Carr.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now we all know Dr. Phillips.
Yes.
But Bob Carr has a huge history in
Oh yeah. It actually was the biggest theater at one point before they brought over.
It's true. We used to go to every performance. We actually used to have my daughters did ballet.
Oh wow.
And they had the ballet recitals there.
And I have an interesting story about that too, because when I first went to Bob Carr, they wouldn't let me do it. They said, "Oh no, you don't have any history. You don't have any. You don't have a resume in doing this stuff. How do we know we're going to get paid? How do we know you're going to do this?" And I said, you guys just gotta trust me. I put $1,000 down on the building, and it cost me $13,000 later.
Wow.
And I proved to them that I can do it. 2 days before the show, they called me and they said, hey, you haven't hit budget, you gotta cancel your show. And I said, no, just give us a chance. There's a big comedy show coming in town. Bruce was the comedian. And that day, we sold like 500 tickets within those 2 days. So we literally went from 300 pre-sold to like 800 pre-sold to all the way 1,500 seats sold within like a week's period.
And you had no prior experience or...
None.
So that's a drive that I want to talk about, because obviously you've used that in business. So what made you know that you could do it? Was it just a crazy raw courage, or
no? You know what, Westgate, and I refer back to Westgate.
Great
Westgate
training,
right? That's
Great
what it was.
training.
They gave me great training. Westgate gave me my start. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about contract signing and all that stuff until I got a job there. Because growing up, my family wasn't that fortunate growing up. So I had to literally go to corporate America and receive training from corporate America. And that's where I got it from. Yeah.
And so they kind of have Westgate, of course, in anything that's timeshare related. They give you you're just kind of all to the wall.
Oh yeah. You are ruthless when it comes down.
But ruthless in a good way, because you don't take no for an answer.
No, you can't.
And that probably is what's helped you. Oh look, we're going live. Finally, I'm getting some of the stuff up. Thank you guys. Gia Gomez says, hello Lavarious, many more success to
Gia.
you. But I think that gives you a way to deal with the rest of the business, because honestly, in acting or anything to do with the arts, there's a lot of rejection. So you have to learn how to deal with that.
There's a lot of rejection when it comes down to the arts.
Which is sort of the exact same thing that goes on at timeshare or Westgate or really anywhere that does that kind of sale.
Yeah. One thing I tell my cast and staff of people, this is one of the most hardest businesses I've ever had to get into, because we have to fill seats. If we don't fill seats, we don't hit budget and we don't get paid. And so that's one of the hardest things. So we have to make people believe in what we're doing, and it's going to be just that good. Westgate, they taught me to keep going no matter what wall you face. So sometimes I have to go through the wall in order to make it happen.
How hard is that for an artist? Because we talked about, I've had a lot of artists on the show, and so how hard is that for somebody who's an artist at heart to get past because most artists are introverts.
Yeah.
And so to get past that and be able to, and most salespeople tend to be introverts too.
Yeah.
They say they're extroverts, but they're really not. So you've got to get past that shell or whatever it is. So what gets you there? What's your thing that motivates you? You probably have a why.
Yeah.
And besides your why, how do you get past that wall?
I think you just have to do it. For me, I'm an introvert too, but I understand my business, and because I understand my business, I cannot be an introvert in this type of business.
Correct.
Because introvert in this business doesn't sell seats. It doesn't put together a great show. And again, Westgate was that thing that taught me how to get past.
I love that. I bet Westgate would love the fact that they gave you the tools.
They did. Yeah.
Because I think if you can make it in timeshare, you can make it anywhere. It's crazy. It's kind of like life insurance sales, which I did for half a minute.
Right.
I'm still licensed to do that, but that's a crazy world. If you can take the rejection all the time and not frame it as a personal thing, and that's really what you have to look at. Any kind of rejection in business when you're dealing with sales. If somebody rejects you, it's not necessarily you.
It's not you, no.
And you can't internalize that and think that you're bad or you're not good at what you do.
Right.
It's just a matter of, it could be them and it's their point of reference, and it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
So the rejection part is definitely part of what we do all the time.
That's the hardest part, actually, and we deal with rejection every single day. Especially when I look at my box office numbers, I'm like, why aren't they buying? This is such a good product, but it's not us at all. It's not us. Sometimes it's just your product.
So tell us about Playbill of Love.
Oh man,
so I'm fascinated, and I want to encourage anybody who's signed on to ask us any questions about, and I'll let you frame it, but I think I put in a snippet that it gives you an inside scoop to how single men and married men think and how to keep that relationship going, which is a wide open, crazy can of worms.
Oh my God.
But I would encourage anybody, I actually had somebody comment on here, are you single? They didn't ask me, not the crazy guy in the crazy weird jacket. They asked you, which is good. But I think that a lot of men don't try to figure out women.
No.
I feel like you all should know that. We don't.
No.
We don't think like that, but
have to.
women want to understand every move we made, why we made it, what went into the decision.
Yeah.
And so you wrote a whole book about that, which I love Playbill, because of course you're an actor, so that's awesome.
Yeah, because the Playbill is a step-by-step guide of the show.
And how did you come up with the idea?
You know what? I've been writing this book for literally about 10 years. Yeah, but I didn't have the story complete because my life wasn't completed. I wasn't married. And I want to get married before I complete the project. And I got married.
Judy Julian says that.
Hey, Judy. And I got married in December. And so when we said I do, I was able to complete the book because now I knew what it really took to get to the altar.
Okay, so you knew it. So how do you translate that and explain it? Because you address both single and married women.
Yeah. Well,
the
married
dudes
part
are
is
dumb. We all know that, right? So we're not the smartest group, really.
Right.
So women, again, tend to think. Of course, they think differently than we do. Mm-hmm. So how did you write the book? Sort of from the perspective of explaining to women how we think so they can better understand how to be in a long-term relationship with us.
Well, I put myself in the picture 100% in this book because I was that horrible boyfriend, I was that horrible ex-husband, I was that horrible fiance, and I knew what I was doing the entire time. I just wanted to see how they would
define horrible.
Horrible. I cheated.
Oh my gosh! All right, so you did all the dumb stuff.
Yes, I did it all. But there comes a point when you get to a certain age, you're like, you know what? I'm getting older. I got to settle my butt down.
Right.
I have to.
What's your motivator there, though? So what turned the corner for you?
A good woman.
A good woman.
Yeah. She was the thing that really made me pump the brakes and say, you know what? You got to settle down now. You get your biological clock.
Because she wasn't going to put up with it.
Oh, no.
And a lot of times, don't you think that that's what happens is that there's this thing where it's an accepted behavior.
Yes.
And so women and men both, they accept it. And so they just go, it's just part of the way things are because reality TV, regular TV movies, they either glorify it or allow it to be the norm.
Yeah.
But in day-to-day life, it really shouldn't be because how are you supposed to live with that?
You can't. I was in a relationship and this girl told me, she said, you know what? You can do whatever you want to do as long as you tell me in advance that you're going to be with somebody else.
Wow.
But that's only because
that's a permission.
It is. But she thought I was the end-all, be-all in her life. Not knowing that she was good enough to go out and find somebody else going to treat her like she was gold.
So she had decided that she was going to put up with whatever your shenanigans were.
No matter what I did.
Because you were the guy.
I was the guy. Well, she thought I was the guy.
Oh, good. 15 minutes, Charnel. And I'm at low battery, Charnel. Hi, Charnel. Will you, would you plug in for me to this? And it's over there. And thank you so much. You're awesome. Yeah, so you do. You set it up and you feel like the women. I don't think dudes think, I don't think like this. But I feel like women think, all right, this is the best I'm going to get. I'm going to accept whatever he dishes out, which is wrong to do.
Yeah.
So now you've corrected it. Yes, in the middle. No, it's not that one. It's smaller. This is us live, going crazy. That's all right. No, it's totally awesome. So talk about that because I think a lot of women do settle.
Yeah. Because they settle a lot of times is because of their upbringing too. What we see in our households, for one, is what we sometimes become. So if you as a little girl grew up in a household where your mother settled and that's all that you saw, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be the same way. How you break the cycle is you get a strong woman in your life that tells you, you know what, baby, it's not supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be that way.
I love that. You're right, because she's decided, I'm not going to put up with the rest of the stuff that I grew up with.
Right.
And so I'm literally going to be...
Or sometimes they settle because they're financially, comfortable. This guy has taken care of everything.
Thank you.
And he's her lifeline.
But I feel like they're not. So that is so interesting. You're right. Because it's that generational thing. So they grew up in it, and so that's all they know. And so they're going to accept it because their mom did, their grandmom did, their aunt did, their sisters did. And somebody finally, thank you, Charnel. Somebody finally stands up and says, "That is not what I'm going to do."
Right. You got to literally say enough is enough, and no matter what, tell him he has to go.
But I know that you are you're really empowering women in this book.
Yes.
But how do we get men to change their perspective?
You know what? I think as a young guy that we have to go through all that dirt before we get to the right woman. Because I don't encourage anybody to get married young. You know, I think that's just a brick wall.
How old were you?
My first time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We have more than a first time.
Yeah. I was 18, right?
That's very young.
Right out of high school, I got married. And I didn't know anything about marriage. Didn't know anything, so I did everything wrong that I could possibly do in that marriage. And it's because I didn't have the proper training. I saw my dad cheating my mom.
Correct. You also had the same triggers and the same background that a woman would have. You just had it from the guy's perspective.
Absolutely. But so it took me literally all the way to 33 to really say, you know what, I want to settle down. And right when I was ready to settle down, the right woman walked in.
That's awesome. That's a God thing?
I believe so.
A faith thing?
I believe so. Yeah.
So I've taken so much time. So tell me more about the book.
So I mean, we talk about, you know, it's just sex. You know, what are you expecting too much, and would you date yourself? You know.
Well, I mean, I'd date me, wouldn't you?
You know.
Hello.
You know, also,
my wife just said I didn't settle with a whole bunch of hearts. She's probably changed her mind after that comment, but
you know. And then there's a lot of things. Like I have a chapter called "Strictly Business." You have to understand, like, 'cause sometimes people go into business relationships that sometimes turn into a sexual relationship, or it turns into a relationship. And I'm not here to say it's a bad thing, but you have to understand what it is, because if I'm coming to a meeting with you and we're just supposed to do business, that's all we're supposed to do.
Correct.
Don't get in bed with that person you're supposed to do business with.
But do you feel like, and I hear this a lot from women in general, women think of sex differently than men.
So absolutely.
They don't view any of the fact that you use the word business and sex in the same sentence is foreign to them.
Yes.
Because it's definitely an emotional, more of an attachment thing.
For some.
That's true.
For some.
It's definitely gotten a lot different since social media came out.
It really has, because you have to understand, a lot of times people want to go to the next level in their careers and whatever it is, and so they would take that next step because they think it's going to get them to the next step in their life.
Correct. And you see that a lot in the reality stars. I love to quote. You look at them and like, who's sleeping with whom right now? And it's to further their career. So women have gotten better about the business aspect of that, but that's not really what we're trying to accomplish here. We don't want it to be business. We want it to be relational and long term. And all right, so tell me something that they should know, like what a woman should know about a man, the inside scoop. What's one of the things in the book that stands out to you?
Chemistry can fool you.
Chemistry can fool you. That should be a hashtag. All right, explain what that means.
Meaning, we go to lunch together, we kick it off amazing. You know, we're laughing, we're talking. Just because he's laughing with you doesn't mean he's into you. That doesn't mean anything.
He's just not into you.
It doesn't mean he's into you. He's just there enjoying his dinner, you know. But women sometimes take it and like, wow, maybe this guy really likes me.
Because they're coming from their point of reference, and so their perception is he's laughing, he's engaged, so he's truly into me. And that's not necessarily
true.
And honestly, if you take that to any relationship, if I'm having a great meeting with someone, that doesn't mean we're going to do business later or have a phenomenal relationship later. But from a man-woman perspective, I understand that. I think women do think like that in general.
And then I have another one, the waiting game. That's a big one because
what's the waiting game?
That's where you should always wait to have sex. You shouldn't jump in the bed.
Did you hear Lavarious there?
You should wait.
You should wait.
Yeah, wait. Seriously, because again, guys, we aren't emotional when it comes down to sex. You know, we just want it. We can sleep with you now, and an hour later we can go sleep with someone else. Women are different.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, yes. But women are different. It has to be emotional. So why give yourself emotionally when you haven't waited it out to see what his motives are?
I agree with that.
Have you met the dog yet? Seriously, if you haven't
true.
met his dog, it's a problem.
That's a great point. You're right, because women do look at it as, again, an emotional connection.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just that we think differently about it. And so that's why there's all those jokes about how you're trying to get her arm off so you can get out of the bed and get home. And women don't understand that because they think differently. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just we all have to figure out how to think. Or we all have to figure out how each other thinks, and then work from that frame of reference.
Right. Absolutely.
So your book's much longer than what we've talked about.
Yeah. It's a lot longer. It's 160 pages long, and it's literally a guide.
And what does your wife think?
Oh, I love it. She actually helped me with a lot of
She
chapters.
set you straight, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
She's the one.
She's the one who said, you know what, you're gonna be with me. You're gonna be just with me. And I said, but you know what? I've never ever stepped outside our marriage or outside of us. So, which was
That's awesome.
amazing. She's like the one who like literally.
Isn't there a piece in that? I've never cheated either. I grew up in a family that was all about cheating.
Yeah.
So I'm totally 100%. I always told Stacy, my wife, that's the one thing I can't. That's it. Like you can do anything else.
That's what we say
Just
too.
honestly, that is the one that I can't come back from.
Yeah.
I won't hate you for it.
Yeah.
But I can't be with you anymore.
Yeah, see, my wife always says, you know, if you cheat, it would be so hard for me because I would be looking at all your stuff every day. I would do this, I would do that, and then for her,
It's always in the back of her mind.
it will always be there.
Yeah.
So I'm always conscious and cautious of that, and I love her so much I wouldn't want to hurt her. You know,
Correct.
So
And a lot of times, even though, so that's a great point. So men do, I think that they do love, it doesn't mean that they don't love you.
right, absolutely.
It's just that they can't figure out because they have no frame of reference.
Right.
Women too, I'm not just talking about men. This is equal, and especially in this day and age.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
It's just for me, it's a no, that's it. That's the one I can't come back from.
But then a lot of women, they don't mind because they just want somebody to lay in bed with at night. So
Correct. There's a
they have to-
companionship thing.
Yes.
And what I would say, thanks Mary Gardner, she said great conversation.
Thank you.
I think that because we think so differently, if we could figure out a way to come together, and that's what Playbill of Love is, that's your passion.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Because you had to learn.
Yes.
So you have children.
Yes, I have 3 kids.
And daughters?
2 daughters and a son.
Okay, so as a dad, this is always my conversation, right?
Yeah.
As a dad, you obviously go, oh my God, I would never want my daughter to be treated how I was with XYZ person.
Absolutely.
And so that's such an eye-opening experience as a dad. So talk a little bit about that. How old are your daughters?
17, 15. 17 and 15. My son's 10.
Look at her. We're at 25 minutes. We've been talking a lot. All right, we're going to wrap it up in a second. Thank you, Sharna. Sharna's awesome. She comes around, Vanna White. I wish you could see the sign. It says point. It has got a, look, here it is. It's got the semicolon in it. Basically, we've been talking a lot. Misty Cavanis wants to know if I'm starting a dating show. You never know at this point in time. So on the daughter side, that's the part also because I already experienced it. Once I had a daughter, I'm like, never would I want her to go through anything like that.
Yeah. And I'm so overprotective with my daughter, like my 17-year-old daughter, and she's starting to date now. You know, and I really don't like it. I'm like, Janai, just wait until you're done with college.
But it's hard. The hormones are in full blast right then.
Or why don't you date somebody I approve of? That's another thing for me.
Basically, she'll never date.
She would never.
So there you go.
No, it is really hard because I would never want my daughter to date somebody who I was in my
Correct.
past, you know. And so I'm always telling her, listen, this is how he should treat you. If he can't come pick you up, if he can't come to the front door and let me meet him, he's not a good guy.
But you're empowering her. You're setting an example that's different than you grew up with.
Absolutely.
So if you set that and you model it, I think that's so powerful. Men and women, boys and girls.
Yeah.
And so she's seeing, my dad would never put up with that, so she doesn't have to put up with it.
Right.
She may not acknowledge it right now.
No, she doesn't.
And she won't. I mean, she's 17.
Right.
But I think that's so powerful to model.
Right.
Because if you had been the cheating dad and all over the place, and that's all she had a frame of reference for from a man, then that's all she'd look for in a man.
Absolutely.
Or that's the only thing she'd know from a man. So I wish we could talk longer. We're already at 30 minutes, and I feel like it's crazy. So tell us. So it's Lavarious Slaughter.com.
Yes.
The book is called Playbill of Love. You have a show coming up that you're Annie.
Yeah, Annie's coming up.
Is it here?
Yes, in Orlando. Yeah.
Okay, so he's doing a production of Annie, which is awesome. But that's all on your website,
Yes,
right?
on my website. It's on my Facebook page. All that good stuff.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed. I could talk for hours
This is
about
awesome.
this.
Yeah,
So
thank you for allowing me to come. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I'm supposed to announce a couple of things. You can't see it, but I've got a beautiful little pocket square here. Look at all the hearts going across. Pocket Square here. Nate Carrick gave this to me. I do mortgages. I'm told I'm supposed to do it at the beginning and the end. We appreciate you guys coming on. Look, we got a lot of people on here. And so thank you guys so much for showing up. Next week, I just want to talk about this. Monday, I'm going to do an Ask Me show where it's going to be me, and I might have Charnel help me, or maybe Melody, who's in the corner here. And I'm going to do kind of like the Five Fingers game, I never, or whatever. I'm going to answer anything that you ask me. It could be about mortgages, it could be about me, it could be about the crazy people up here on the 18th floor. It could be about politics, although I'm trying to stay away from that. But whatever you want to ask, I've had a bunch of requests for that. And then we have a great bunch of shows next week. I just appreciate all the love and support. Thank you so much. Look at all the hearts going by. Don't you love that? So thank you so much. Thank you, Melody Garcia, who's sort of in the corner. She put this thing called Socialite on there, and it's made me look like I have a little makeup on. The lighting is awesome in it. But you guys, I love you so much. And now we're going to do the low rent part of this. I'm going to ask Melody to get up and hit the finish button. She's over there. And hi, Melody. 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 Yay, Melody. Hit the finish button. Just hit it once. Thank you guys so much. We love you. Love you. Thanks, Lavarious. It's right there. Thank you. Just hit it once.
I'm trying.
There you go. That's good. No. Hit finish. This is our show. This is it. That's what happens. This is us. Oh, look. See, the light comes off, and you guys get to see how I look.
It doesn't want to disconnect.
Look at her. So, Lavarious, this is why I need that remote.